Our next speaker, I am also extremely honored that he came to join us. Abdulaziz bin Mohammed Al-Hussan is a lawyer and reformist born in Riyadh. In late 2011, following the Arab Spring, he began to represent cases of political detainees pro bono, and many detainee families began to approach him for help. He's worked as a scholar in the Center for Constitutional Democracy at Indiana Law School. He is working as a scholar in the Iowa College of Law. He recently founded the Diriyah Institution in Washington, D.C., a nonprofit dedicated to studies of the Arabian Peninsula with a focus on constitutional law reform, political science, and history. I also want to say that he drove here yesterday. How many hours?
14.
14 hours to get here to be with us. So get up again and give a warm, warm welcome to Mohammed. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Thank you for having me here. My story with human rights started when I was 12 years old, sitting in the back of my brother's car. I heard two of my older brothers talking that I heard two of my brothers said that our father just died, but one of my brother is in prison for political reason, and he couldn't get out to bury our father. From that point on, I didn't know exactly what I promised myself, but I will never be in the side of the oppressor. I always be in the side of the oppressed. Today, I'm going to talk to you about 4 subtopics. I'll keep them short. First one, I'll give you overview of the legal and political system in Saudi Arabia. Second is the biggest human rights violation in Saudi. Third is the international relation between government and the Saudi government. Fourth, how to resolve this case. The Saudi was founded in 1932. It's based mainly in Islamic law. However, the law itself, it's more like civil law. So in 92, we have a basic law of governors. It could be called as a constitutional document. It's not constitution. In Article 44 of that basic law of governors stated that the king has the ultimate authority. So we have 3 branches, at least names, executive, legislative, and the judiciary. But all of them go back to the king, and that's the main issue here. So none of them is actually independent in any way. So there is the judiciary independence is stated in the laws, in different laws, in the basic law of governors, in the judiciary law, and in other laws. But it's not actually independent. It's influenced by the monarchy when it's come to political or civil rights. However, as a business sector, it's quite advanced, to be honest. So many of the business cases, they are tried with fairness, but not in the political and civil. So how did we end like this? I think when when the state was founded in 1932, it was a very good project in a different ways. Of course, whenever you establish something, there are wars, like any other state has been established mostly. In 64, we have a coup in Saudi. King Saud was removed from office and King Faisal came to office. King Saud at that time, he has an alliance with different princes within the monarchy. They are representing the reformist wing. They had the constitution actually. There was a draft constitution in 96 and it was stated or the radio, they mentioned that there will be a constitution published by the Saudi in 1960. That constitution draft is absolutely good way if we started from the 1960s, because there were some kind of parliament, there was some kind of freedom or free civil society organizations. So that didn't happen. 64, King Faisal and his alliance have taken over. And from that point on, 1975, King Faisal was assassinated. Then the Sideri Sevens controlled the government, mostly from Sideri Seven is 7 princes from the same mother, and they are the sons of bin Saud. Is led by King Fahad. So from 75 until 2005, they controlled everything. And even though that there was a lot of violations of human rights from that point on, from the 64 up to 2005, at least there was some kind of political stability. You have to say that. That's a fact. There are wars, the Gulf Wars and others, but there was some kind of political stability. From 2005 up to now, not up to now, actually, up to 2015, so King Abdullah ruled, and there were the wings, like the Sideri Seven has been marginalized in different areas. So now in Saudi, we don't have stability in the monarchy because we didn't know who is going to be the next king, even though that the crown prince is the cousin of the current king, but still one of the brother of the kings has more authority to be a king than him, and because of the system is going from brothers to brothers and now is to cousins, that's the issue. So my focus, me and most of the reformists in Saudi, are actually not to overthrow the monarchy. It's to have kind of limited monarchy. I have all the right to get revenge, but revenge will not get us anywhere. We seek justice for all. We seek reform. The collapse of the Saudi monarchy is not good for the people, is not good for the international relationship. However, the Saudi monarchy itself now is taking itself to going to collapse. So, so we have a lot of, just to end this topic, we have a lot of laws coming from the civil system. So it's coming from France, Egypt, and Saudi. So the people who present codification as solution to the Saudi issue, no, codification is not the issue. Codification means that we have more laws to protect the right of the people, or we have more laws to do something. So many of the laws, it has been codified in the last 10 years in the civil and political spectre is actually against the people's interest. One of them, which is very bizarre one, is the anti-terrorism law. So many special acts in this laws or many articles, if you support democracy in Saudi, you will be considered as a terrorist. So this is not helping. So codification is not helping. The whole system is not looking at justice from a good way, because it's in its own benefits to keep it this way. And I have to mention something here. The Saudi is not like other oppression. Sometimes good, sometimes it's bad, but they are soft oppression. So in a way, they are not like the Soviet Union or other South American or African regimes where they use killing as a method to eliminate their opponents. Unfortunately, that's happened with the 47 people who have been executed a couple of weeks ago without due process. So this is the first time they have done something like this with a big number. So the human rights violation, the biggest human rights violation is detainees and immigrants' rights. These are the two of the biggest human rights violation. And the way I look at the Saudi system, I don't look at, so nobody has the rights. The discrimination is against everyone, regardless if you are from the majority Sunni or from the minority Shia, regardless if you are man or woman. So there we have a lot of women actually in the Shura Council, and they are part of the oppressing system. They are part of the regime, and we have a lot of minority too within the system. So the system could accommodate anyone, which is unique. However, you have to agree with its oppression nature. So these are the biggest human rights violation. The international relationship, I think here what we have. I worked in lobbying in Europe for a while in relation to campaigns for human rights. I was depressed by how nobody wants to say anything about human rights in Saudi because of the money involvement. At one stage, I was participating in panel, and one of the member of parliaments in the Netherlands, he said, yes, it's fine to have a double standard in Saudi. So we don't work in human rights in Saudi because we have business interests. So unfortunately, we have some hypocrite governments in the West who support violations of human rights for the interest of business for the business interest. I would like to mention something about how extremists. So in Saudi, so Wahhabism is not the reason we have the violence in the world. We have the violence in the world started in the 70s by the support of Reagan administration and the Saudi government at that time, and they sent people to Afghanistan. So they have sent them, some of them is actually from Egypt, which they have nothing to do with Wahhabism, but they have suffered a lot and had been tortured in the prison of Jamal Abdel Nasser for a while, and the Sadat. So I think we have more extremists in the West than in the Arab region. However, there are differences between extremists and people who use weapons. So violence is not accepted from anyone. So to stop violence, we have to stop the injustice. Our issue in the region is the injustice. So you cannot, if you make people silent, and if you put them in prison for a while and torture them, don't expect them to be very peaceful. You created them through violence, state violence, created group violence. So to end all of that, I think I would be happy to have anyone extremist or whatever, as long as they are not using violence. So there are a group of parties actually in Europe who are very extremist, but they could represent themselves, and sometimes they will take the government. So the way forward, to conclude my talk, is to focus on how to develop reform in the Middle East and how to support justice for all, regardless of their background or any other things. Thank you very much.